And just like that, we are back. Gentlemen of Atlanta, I am your host, Rizell Simmons, bodybuilder and author to Keys to Increasing Your Productivity. Check the link. And next to me, co-host
Angelo Bird, Brands by Bird on all my socials, serial entrepreneur, making big things happen.
That's right.
And to my right,
Jimmy Jones with a Z at the end instead of an S. Also known as Sell Your Home, Jimmy Jones. When it's time to sell your home, call Jimmy Jones. When it's time to sell your home or buy, call Jimmy Jones. Also, one of the biggest record labels in the South, I Will Not Be Outworked Records. And I'm a servant of the Lord through Jesus Christ.
Man, you keep dropping them Jimmy Jones records, man. That thing has been popping for years.
Think about it.
For years, man. You see him come out with the sign, twirling the cane.
Thank you. You know, we always got to represent the frat.
And it's all about branding. Jimmy got it as well. Mm-hmm. And Birds by the Brands. Of course. Did I say that right?
Brands by Bird.
Got it. All right, and so let's talk about today's liquor of choice. What do we have on deck?
Today we have my good friend Victor George. You may have heard of Victor George vodka.
Yes.
He has recently brought out Fort Mose 1738. Go look at the history of 1738 and what this represents. I'm going to read something off the back of his label. In 1726, 38 African-born slaves would escape from the Carolina, head south and seek refuge amongst the Spanish just 2 miles north of St. Augustine, Florida. Known for being skilled workers and farmers, these brave men and women fought alongside the Spanish and their Indian allies against their former masters. In 1738, the governor would declare Fort Mose the first free black town in the United States. So shout out to my man, Victor George.
Shout out.
And today we're sponsored by him, Fort Mose 1738 bourbon whiskey. It is a 75% corn, 21% rye, high rye, and a 4% barley. It's coming out at 84 proof. Coming out under $45, $45 to $50 a bottle, depending on your market. He just got to Georgia. I want to shout out to my man. Salute.
I like it.
Need some more?
Yeah, of course.
We were drinking before the show started, but it's what we do.
Hey, man, the only way to do it. Hey, salute, gentlemen.
There's a thin line between just living versus just not dying.
Woo!
Salute.
So, gentlemen, this topic that we have, I scrubbed the comments from the last show, and there was an interesting question that I found that I thought we can give pretty good perspective on. But it's deep, but I think that we are the right people to take on a question like this. You ready?
Let's do it.
Let's get to it. Here is the question. All right. What are the best ways for men who have separated, who have leaving a long-term relationship or divorced? What's the best way of maintaining yourself and coping with this also when children are involved? Did you get the question?
Yes.
We cool?
Yes.
All right, what you got?
So I think that the first is 2 parts.
Okay.
Obviously, it is the self component, and then when you're having children, that component as well. Yeah. Right? Brothers, go get therapy. Yeah. Go get somebody you can talk to, someone you can lean on in your time of need, because separating from your significant other after a long extenuated period of time, it's like a death. Yeah. And you're going to really grieve that process. Most of us grieve that process through other women. We give it through soft and hard illicit drugs and alcohol.
Because it's almost, to me, it's almost like a losing of self.
Yes.
A little bit.
So, first things first, go get help and do the work on you so you can get healed. And if you eventually want to end up in a new relationship with someone else, you're not damaging her. Yeah. You're not bringing your baggage and garbage to the party. A. Part B of that question, you have children involved, right? Did you go into a relationship where she had children? Did you go into a relationship where it's your own children, right? And you still have to interact with the young lady that could have been your fiance, wife, whatever the case, and you have to stop, a hard stop, forgive self, forgive her, and just still do therapy to be the best man that you can be for those children to see that even through transition from a relationship that you can still love them, you can still have a harmony for everyone.
Absolutely.
That's right. Yeah, and I mean, when you were talking, Z, about during this process of divorce and long-term relationship, sometimes you lose your identity. You know what I mean? But I think there's a opportunity for you to not only reevaluate your own identity and renew your self-identity, but also when you talk about seeking help and everything, you can also adjust your identity spiritually, you know. And to be honest, when I got divorced, if it weren't for my relationship with Jesus Christ and my unbreakable faith, I didn't have anyone to go to when I went to substances and had to go to rehab. You know, I didn't have anybody. You know, all I had was my faith in Jesus Christ. And one thing that helped me was the serenity prayer, which is, God, grant me the serenity, the peace to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Wow.
In those moments when you can't identify with you know, when you lose self-identity sometimes, because everybody knew you and your significant other together, everybody knew you and your family and all your pictures together, and all some social media changes, you know, there is a learning moment there where you should learn to identify with Jesus, with your spirit, readjust your self-identity and readjust your self-worth, and then readjust your identity with your family. Understand it's not going to be the same.
Right.
You know what I mean? It'll never be the same.
Yeah.
But there's opportunities for there to be a better future, a new identity. And that's the most beautiful part, is whenever you accept that, you know, that everything new, like we serve a God of things new, not things past.
Right.
You know what I mean? So don't beat yourself up about the past.
Right.
Live in the now and live in the future.
Right.
And go back to my point about healing. You got to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
Because
That's true, too.
we're men. And 9 times out of 10, we come into a situation, we go into a relationship, we go into a marriage unhealed.
Yeah.
And we inflect all of that onto our spouse, onto our mate. And we don't even know it because we didn't do the work.
Right.
Right? So we talked in our last podcast last week about doing the work. And for those young men and young women, ask the questions on the front end, right? I said it before. Judge a man by his questions, not his answers.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
If you do that, and that was Voltaire. It's not my own quote, but I live it. Right? I got to give the man credit. Yeah. But when you start asking those questions, and you got to ask those questions when you're sitting. Go sit in the closet. Go sit in your room. Go sit in your speakeasy, like you see behind me. I'm at home. We're podcasting in my home, my little studio.
Correct.
But when you're asking those questions, it gives you the clarity that you need to have when you're going into any situation, any relationship, in any fashion, whether romantic, business, professional, personal, so on and so forth. Ask, am I whole, and how do I add value to any situation?
Absolutely.
And in response to that, ask yourself, how does Angelo, Z, Jimmy, right, allow somebody to come into our space, and what value are they bringing to us as well?
Yeah. It's all about value, and I think both you gentlemen have words that you kind of live by. You have the quote that you gave. You know, me, mine came from my uncle. My uncle, when I was getting out of a long-term relationship, yes, with kids involved, you know, and I was slipping, trying to find my stable ground. Reaching for my religion, you know, I'm reaching for activities to fill that space, to fill that void. He said to me, you know, you have to be good, because you're only going to be as good as, you know, your children when they come back to you. You have to maintain yourself because your children will come back to you, so you have to be in good shape. It's basically what he told me. And that kind of shaped my mind and made me get a little bit upright. Like, you're absolutely right. Though I don't see my children every morning, it's not like I shouldn't wake up with the same tenacity, go out and get it. And when they come on the weekends or they come, whatever that cadence may be that you work out, right? Everything is in place. I have a peaceful home. I'm whole. And I'm doing those things that we always talk about, right? I've taken some time to do some mental health. I'm working on my finances. I'm keeping things together. But I think it's very important for men to remember, keep yourself whole during these times because you have to be good for the children because they're going to be looking for that.
I'm going to get a little personal, right? So in my marriage, I was married young, 21, 22.
Right.
Were you there? I think you may have been there.
Yeah, I was around those times.
Right? And I was a young father. I didn't know anything about being a husband. I definitely didn't know anything about being a dad. But I focused more of my energy on being a good dad, and I focused no energy on being a good husband. And I can admit that. Yeah. You have to go through that storm and understand that, I was a poor husband, right? And to this day, we're friends. We're friends, and we have adult children, right? And that transition, I had to go through the storm. I went through the bankruptcy. I went through a foreclosure. Well, not even a foreclosure. It was an eviction out of an apartment. I went through a repossession on a car. I went through all that because of the seeds that I sowed.
Wow.
I sowed bad seeds. And I got back as everything that I put into that moment. Wow. But winners win and losers lose. I'm a born winner.
Amen.
When you and I were out beating the street promoting, your promotions, my photography along with the promotions, when you came to town, when I was an entrepreneur and I was able to help you find your way when you first moved to Atlanta.
Absolutely.
Through employment.
Preach.
These are the things that when you start reflecting and doing the work on self and you get surrounding yourself with people that are going to hold you accountable, you become a better version of you.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So, this morning when my daughter left the house this morning, because she's here, she just graduated college. Oh. This is my second oldest, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But because I continually sowed those seeds into my children after divorce. Right. Imagine if I would have been that scum of the earth that always dissed their mom, that my children would probably have extreme levels of vitriol against me.
It can happen.
Right? So my oldest, she's getting her master's right now over in North Carolina. My almost 20-year-old, she'll be 20 next week, have my grandson.
Wow.
Right? She just called me, let me know my grandson is turning 1 in a couple of weeks. Hey, but my point of the matter is,
Grandpa.
When it's granddaddy to do.
Oh. Granddaddy. Granddaddy.
But when you do the right thing to the people that you created these lives with, and you're doing the work on you, because it's a 50-50 joint venture, you start sowing a different seed.
I think for me, some of the key things that you've said and the focus, right, and with children involved is to have the conversation, ensure that you're having a strong relationship with your children consistently, making sure that they know that you're there for them. That's very important. They should know that they're still protected by you, even though daddy may not be in the house every single night, right? Those things are important. You're there when they need something and you're just a call away, or you're showing up, you're doing all of those things. It's important to stay on your game as a father during those tough times. But what helps that also is dealing with maybe the relationship that you had with the woman, forgiving her, forgiving yourself, and having a healthy relationship, co-parenting relationship is what I'm saying.
But I will say
that's
this, though.
key.
But what I will say is, because this sounds real beautiful, but I was talking to one of my brothers. He's not here, but he was telling me, just the problems he has with his ex-wife and the problems he has with his baby, and then so women, it all depends on how cooperative the woman is.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes, the woman the woman don't want you to be a father to that child no more.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
No matter how hard you fight, you still don't come out on the winning side.
Listen, I've been there. You still got to take care of yourself, and you still got to fight.
You still have to fight. However, you have to fight for yourself and don't lose yourself in the process, because
Absolutely,
you
yes.
can't be good to anybody else. Your child in
There
the
it
future,
is.
you know, when he turns 18, whatever, you're not going to be good for him if you don't take care of yourself.
Boom.
And stress will kill you. Black
especially for
men,
men, yeah,
a
yeah.
good friend of mine recently died, rest in peace, soul out last year, of a brain aneurysm, man. You know, stress and blood pressure and diet and how much salt intake and these blood pressure medications and all this other stuff. Man, I go in the opposite direction of stress.
You have to
Meaning that-
consciously, I'm sure, right?
Oh, consciously. Meaning that if it comes from an ex-wife,
Right.
if it comes from a baby mama, well, I don't have no baby mama, but I do have an ex-wife. But, you know, if it did come from any woman from my long-term relationship stress, I go the other way.
Yeah.
So it goes back to my point. When you do the work on you, fellas, and when you do the work on forgiveness of self, when you do the work on forgiveness of others, I'm not saying that you become a punching bag to anyone. Right? Take the least path to resistance.
Come on.
Right? You take the least path to resistance. And you can only do so much. If you're going to have an outside party having emotional vitriol towards you, that they're constantly seeping and seething into that child, then you got to make different decisions. And I fault no man or woman, for that matter, in having to say, I'll see my child when I'm 18, right? It's not a good space to be in.
No, not at all.
But I think that the pain that comes along with a child that's having emotional imbalance because you got one parent saying one thing, one parent saying another thing, what is going to put that child in the best position to exceed in life? And if that means that we have to allow them to become an adult in one household, and we
Sometimes it's better
Yeah.
if you stay away. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it's better if you stay away. Because you know everybody don't respond to negativity the same way.
That's true.
Me, you know, we were talking off camera about how we both. How all of us are, used to be hard heads. We were all head knockers on our,
Word.
in our fraternity. So when pressure comes, everybody don't know how to deal with pressure the same way. So to save negativity going back that way when it comes this way, because everybody don't fight the same.
That's
You know what I
correct.
mean? Like everybody don't use fists when they fight.
Correct.
Some people use weapons.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. Stay away from the violence,
So
the
long
mess.
story short is
Right.
to protect everybody involved. Sometimes
protect
if you're not wanted in that situation and you fight to get in there and they still fighting back, sometimes you gotta let go and let God.
Yes.
Because
That's a
guess
really
what?
good
One thing about it, God never forsakes the righteous.
That's right, Jimmy. That's a really that's
good one,
that's a really good point.
Thank
You know, and I'm one that when I went through it, I slipped into depression, and I'll admit I almost lost myself. I had to grab a few shit. I called you.
Yes, several
You know
times.
what I
But I think that's a good point. I'm glad
Yeah.
you talked about that.
That's honest.
Depression.
Yeah.
You really got to understand and ask yourself, is depression real? And before you say yes or before you say no, I can go get a drink. I can't go get depression. Right? Depression is a mindset. There's some things that in our lives that we want to get rid of. There's some things in our life that we don't necessarily agree with. There's some things in our life that are unhealthy, right? That we need to purge.
Absolutely.
But we got to really change our mindset around depression.
Do you think depression is a choice?
Well, it sounds like to a degree it depends on your route of perception. If you know what I mean. If drinking can lead to that, right, and you're overdoing that, maybe it's a thing that you should cut back. Is my point during that time, right? So you should be
If
conscious.
you know that leads to depression.
And it has a
Cut off
chance
what
to,
leads
or
to.
you know that it's trying times for you,
Yeah.
and you shouldn't have these elements in you. That's fair to say, and you should be conscious of that. So I think in trying to cope with all of that, men should be aware of themselves daily, of themselves, their health, mentally, and their state.
So, think about it. We've had some pretty trying situations in our lives.
Yeah.
Very negative, right? Very tumultuous times.
Okay.
And we focus on those times and solely focus on those times, then we'll always be in that negative space.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be the I am Jimmy Jones with a Z today.
Men,
if you
we gotta
continually-
stay busy.
If you continually focused on that, you
Gotta
wouldn't be
do
in
stuff.
the space you are. I saw
You're
you
right.
before you started working out. I saw you before
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
And look at what you've been able to come. It's called resiliency.
Come on.
You can't. Can you have depression and resiliency?
Woo!
Today's show word resiliency. I like it. I love it. It's needed.
Yeah.
So
they can never cohabitate.
So yes, you can get to a time where you're having a bad space, a bad stump.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan has some bad games.
yeah, everyone fails.
Yeah.
So maybe another topic we can talk about depression.
Yeah.
And then and see if is depression real.
I like
and
the
we're gonna get a lot of drama coming back from my statement, but I'm just being provocative in thought.
Right.
And having diversity of thought. That's why I love the chemistry we all have here. We all don't think the same. We're all not the same.
Yeah.
But think about depression and ask yourself this question: is it real? Is fear real? Right?
It's definitely what we allow. What we allow to come in, what we allow, the thoughts. I feel very strongly that prayer works. I think prayer, when you get down on your knees and you pray, you can pray away evil spirits, evil thoughts.
You absolutely.
Some people say meditation. I say prayer.
So think about your prayer and whatever faith you have, right? But you think about depression.
Yeah.
That's a thought that is unhealthy for you.
Yeah.
Right? So then what do we do with depression? We go out and get on these antidepressant drugs, these medications that constantly have you in an altered state. Unbalanced chemically.
Yeah.
Right? And then you got to measure that with faith. But you say, I'm going to get away with these pills that a third party administer to me and put it in his hands, or whatever faith that is, and the results are probably resoundingly different across the space of life, across the space of earth, for those that take themselves away from the dependency on something that's going to alter your mood consistently versus having belief in self and belief in a higher power.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
No, it absolutely does. I think something that you said earlier is key, is just maintaining your peace, your oasis, and creating it, intentionally. And for me during that time, I said, what activities, where do I find peace? So it's by the water. Let me buy a drone and go fly by the water. Let me go walk by the water.
Or get a boat.
And those kind of, and the boat, right? And the boat. Can't forget the boat. So those are things that, I did.
I sold him a boat, everybody.
Yeah.
Hey!
Great time.
I need my boat back. I need the boat back.
You have to come out, but those are things that I did. Do you recall, each of you, what are specific things that you did to fill your time up, or to create your oasis, your peace around you during that time?
I would say for me, it's definitely really getting into the kitchen and making magnificent meals.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. And I think you said something earlier, maybe it was the last podcast, about your therapist told you to stop spending. Yeah. So I stopped spending and said, okay, I can go out to Kevin Rathman's Steakhouse or Fogo de Chao or Hal's. Or I can go buy me a bone-in ribeye for $40 and learn how to cook it to perfection.
Man.
With the same butters, the same rosemary, the same garlic, and do it on my Kamado grill.
Yeah, it's going to help you with the next lady, too.
Yeah.
Total different conversation.
Women they do be eating.
Right? But I can go spend $300.
Yeah.
And I have the means and resources to do it.
Yeah.
Or I can spend $50 and stay home. And look behind me. I don't got to go out to nobody's spot to buy no bourbon.
You ain't got to go nowhere for a long time.
Or wine or cigars. I do those things because I can, not because I have to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just make no mistakes about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Sid, what about you, Jimmy?
Well, I'll say this. I think that people joke all the time whenever, like in the comment section, when it's men and women on some meme that someone posts, and they say, "Focus on yourself, King. Focus on you, King." I feel that in any time where you're coming out of a divorce or long-term relationship, whatever, it's time for you to focus on you, King. And my therapist, man, he's so amazing. He has this theory. He says, Jimmy, when you lead a purpose-driven life and you are not chasing, but you you are like a bullet train and you're going after your purpose. He said, Jimmy, find that purpose. Find your passion. When you find your passion and what it is God put you on here to do, and you start operating in that and mixing in that, and you're going so hard, you're going to be like a bullet train moving so fast in your mission, in your purpose, in his will, that when the woman meets you that's supposed to be with you for the rest of your life, she's got to either run faster to catch up with your ass, or be left behind.
Well, guess what? Can I add something to that? And I'm going to say this. And you can say as controversial as it may sound.
Okay.
Women choose men. Period. Dot.
What you mean by that? What you mean?
Women choose men.
Well, to a degree, I can see why, right? I mean, to a degree, she's the one who actually has to
Not
say
in Atlanta, not with the ratio.
Yes.
Even in Atlanta.
Oh, really?
Women choose men. There's no way you can't.
We're going to have to say that topic.
Right?
Hey,
And guess what?
No, men, be the prize. Be the prize, man. You're the prize.
Know
that is the prize.
Know that you're the prize, and that the value that you add and what that means to a woman, whether she's trying to act alpha woman or whatever, that's out of her natural nature. She wants to be, and she needs in many cases to be supported by the right.
Bird used to be a pimp back in the day, a long time ago. So, listen, the Mac. Have you ever seen the Mac? Look, just he's a dude too.
Everywhere.
He's like, hey, look, I can't help that your woman is choosing me. Now you know the rules of the game. You know the rules of the game. Your female chose me. So now either we can handle this like gentlemen,
or we can get some gangster shit.
Hey man, keep yourself refined. Get the new clothes, man. Keep yourself in physical shape,
love yourself.
Mentally shape, and love yourself. And when you start, that's real.
Be your biggest
love
fan.
yourself. Do those things because then you can better love someone else. And then you actually know what loves feels. Take care of yourself.
It's funny y'all say that though, because many people go to the gym every single day. They can't run a mile.
That's true,
right?
Okay.
As many as people work all these muscles in your body, but they can't articulate systemic information about anything outside of first grade level.
Wow.
Right? Because they don't work their brain.
Yeah.
The biggest muscle you have in your body, they won't work it because we're so focused on all these other things.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah, anything you want to hide from a black man, put it in a book.
Yeah. Well, it's good to read, right? I think that comes with the refinement. And if you choose at some point to want to date again, right, you have a woman that may align with the things that you're interested in, right? The things that you're reading, things that you're in spiritually because you've been diving into that, or whether it's working out, she's into it. And that's going to bring you guys together, Well, I mean, hopefully you enjoyed this topic.
That thing was hot.
Yo, that was a good show. Great topic. I appreciate you gentlemen coming. Jimmy, where can they find you online?
Hey, you can find me on all social media. I am Jimmy Jones.
With a Z!
And if you're trying to sell your home,
call Jimmy Jones.
I'm Angelo Bird, Brands by Bird, on all my Instagram, my everything associated with social media. And
hey, check me out, Fit Tech Noop 3.0 on Instagram as well as TikTok. And make sure you follow us, Gentlemen of Atlanta, on Instagram. Please subscribe
and share
below. Share. We want to hear from you. What's it like coping with separation, divorce in your 30s and 40s? Not just for men, we want to hear from the women as well.
Ladies.
And if there's any mental therapist or anyone who wants to be on the show,
we need guests.
below.
We need guests.
We want to talk to you. All right? Until the next time.
Much love.
Peace.
Peace.